My child, I know you are busy, and I am genuinely sorry to interrupt you like this. I know how full your life feels right now. I know your mind is crowded, and your time is being pulled in more directions than you can comfortably manage. I know how carefully you weigh what actually deserves your attention in a day already full of demands. But you cannot move past this moment. Not because I want to require something from you, but because I see something you cannot yet see. And love will not allow me to stay quiet, when staying quiet would cost you more than this interruption ever could. The enemy is hoping you scroll past right now. Not through dramatic confrontation, and not through force, but through distraction. They do not need to attack you loudly. They only need you to stay busy, to stay slightly numb, to stay moving just fast enough that you never fully stop to listen. That is everything they want in this moment. Delay and distraction and dismissal. And I am speaking right now, because I refuse to allow that to happen without first giving you a warning. They do not want you to stay with this, because what you are about to hear will genuinely wake something up in you. Awareness weakens their hold over you. Clarity breaks subtle chains that you have been carrying without even realizing they were there. When you begin to see clearly, you stop agreeing with things that have been quietly draining you. That is why this moment carries the weight it does. Not because you are weak, but because you are close to seeing something that will change how you move forward from here. I would not interrupt you like this unless it genuinely mattered. I do not interrupt lightly. And I know how precious uninterrupted moments have become to you. That is precisely why I chose this one. Because what you cannot yet see is already affecting you. And love does not wait until the damage is obvious before it speaks. Please do not tell yourself you will come back to this later. I know that voice very well. It sounds entirely reasonable. It sounds calm and measured. It tells you this can wait until you are less tired, less scattered, more available. But later has already taken more from you than you realize. Later has stretched into weeks and months before. And by the time you returned, the clarity you needed felt harder to access. I am calling you into this moment, not to rush you, but to protect you. You are being distracted on purpose, and you need to understand why. Not everything competing for your attention is harmless. Not everything demanding your time is neutral. Some distractions are carefully designed to keep you from noticing what is shifting in your heart, what is quietly draining your spirit, what is slowly creating distance from the peace you were meant to live in. I am not accusing you of anything. I am revealing what has been happening beneath the surface, so you can choose with awareness, instead of simply moving through habit. I see how full your life genuinely is. I see the responsibilities you carry, and the expectations placed on you, and how hard you work to hold everything together. But I also see something else. I see how your soul has been targeted quietly, not through crisis, but through exhaustion. Not through chaos, but through relentless noise. That is why you feel tired in ways that sleep does not repair. That is why your heart feels heavy without a clear and specific reason. This is not random. Stay with me. This message is not here to add pressure. It is here to offer protection. And protection does not always arrive looking like comfort. Sometimes it looks like an interruption. Sometimes it looks like a voice saying, "Stop for a moment. Look. Listen." That is what I am doing right now. I am speaking because I love you. Not because you are failing. I need you to hear that clearly. This is not correction rooted in disappointment. This is a warning that comes entirely from care. If you were failing, I would not be this close. If you were beyond reach, I would not be speaking this personally. I am speaking because you matter to me. And because what is happening around you matters. And because love does not wait for collapse before stepping in. Do not scroll past this. What you cannot see can still cause harm. Ignorance does not protect the heart. Awareness does. When you understand what is happening, you can choose differently. When you recognize the pull, you can resist it. When you see the pattern, you stop blaming yourself for the heaviness you have been feeling. I am giving you understanding so you can breathe again. I know part of you wants to turn away right now. Not because you do not care, but because intensity feels heavy when you are already carrying so much. I know you would rather remain comfortable than confront something you cannot even fully see yet. But comfort without truth eventually gives way. I am offering you truth now, so that your peace is not resting on something fragile that will not hold. You may feel something rising in you as you receive these words. That is not fear. That is recognition. Something in you knows this moment is significant. Something in you knows this is not just another message passing through your day. That is why the enemy hopes you scroll. Because if you stay, you will begin connecting things you were never meant to keep ignoring. I am not here to overwhelm you with information. I am here to sharpen your awareness. Awareness is gentle when it is guided. You do not need to figure everything out right now. You only need to stay long enough to see what you have been missing. If you know He is working behind the scenes even when everything seems quiet, let that truth anchor you right now. You have been strong for a long time. You have carried more than most people around you know about. You have pushed through seasons where rest was what you actually needed. You have stayed productive even when your spirit was quietly reaching for stillness. That strength has been genuine and admirable. But it has also created a specific kind of vulnerability. Busy hearts are easier to gradually redirect than broken ones. That is why I am stepping in right now. I am not angry with you for being busy. And I am not disappointed in you for being distracted. I understand how this world pulls at you constantly from every direction. That is exactly why I am speaking with urgency rather than with accusation. I am not here to shame you. I am here to gently wake you. Before weariness becomes a numbness you stop noticing. Stay with me for a moment longer. Let your breathing slow down. Let your heart stop racing ahead to the next thing. You do not need to respond yet. And you do not need to decide anything right now. You only need to listen. And listening itself is already an act of protection. I know you are tempted to tell yourself this is being made more significant than it actually is. I know you want to reduce it to something more comfortable so you can move on more easily. But hear me. The most dangerous moments are not the loud and obvious ones. They are the quiet ones, where nothing appears to be wrong, but something is slowly drifting in a direction you have not chosen. I am speaking now because I love you too much to let that drift continue without your awareness. You are not alone in this moment. I am here with you. And I am not watching from a distance. I am close, speaking directly into your heart. Because you are worth the interruption. Stay with me. This message is not here to frighten you. It is here to protect you, and to steady you, and to help you see clearly again. My child, I see how busy you are, and I see all that it contains. The full calendar, and the constant incoming demands, and the responsibilities that never seem to reach completion. I see how your mind is always in motion, and how your days blur together, and how even rest has started to feel like something you have to accomplish, rather than something you receive. I know you did not begin today expecting to be interrupted, and I genuinely do not take your time lightly. I know how precious every minute feels right now. Please hear my heart clearly on this. I am not interrupting you because you have done something wrong. I am not stepping in to accuse you, or to add more weight to what you are already carrying. I am interrupting you because I love you. And love sometimes steps in before you even realize you need it to. Love does not always wait for the perfect moment. Love moves when protection is needed. I know how hard you work to maintain everything. I know the effort that simply getting through a day requires from you. You carry things others do not see. And you solve problems quietly. And you show up even when your heart feels stretched past its comfortable capacity. I see all of that. And I honor it. And I am not here to diminish your strength. I am here because you have been carrying too much alone. And I want you to know that. This is not a demand. This is an invitation. I am not asking you to add something more to your already full life. I am asking you to pause. Because continuing forward without awareness will cost you more than this moment of stopping with me ever could. Love interrupts comfort when comfort begins to conceal something that needs your attention. Comfort is genuinely good, but it can also quietly dull awareness. When life moves at a certain speed, you stop noticing what is happening underneath the surface. You stop hearing the quieter signals of your soul. You stop recognizing when something is gradually draining you. I am interrupting you not to disturb your peace, but to protect it from something that has been working against it. Without your knowledge, I am not blaming you for being busy. And I am not suggesting you chose distraction deliberately. I know how everywhere this world's competing demands are. I understand how easy it is to be swept along by all of it. That is exactly why I am stepping in right now. Gently but clearly. Before exhaustion becomes numbness. And numbness becomes a distance you stop even noticing. This interruption is not an accusation. It is a hand reaching toward you, saying, "Come here for a moment. Let me show you what you cannot see when you are always in motion." You are not in trouble. You are not failing. You are loved enough to be warned. Before something harmful settles in quietly, while your attention is elsewhere. I know part of you is carrying some guilt even in this moment. You wonder if you should be doing more, praying more, listening more. Let the guilt go right now. Guilt is not my voice. Guilt pushes you away and creates distance. Love draws you closer. I am not here to shame you into paying attention. I am here to invite you into safety. I see how tired your soul is. Even when your body keeps moving. I see the weariness you do not talk about. I see how your joy has grown thinner in the recent stretch of time. How your peace feels more fragile than it used to. How your thoughts feel scattered across too many surfaces at once. None of this makes you weak. It makes you human. And it tells me that this interruption is necessary and timely. I would not press into your busy life unless staying silent would cost you something precious. There are moments when waiting feels reasonable but is actually harmful. This is one of those moments. Continuing forward without awareness means allowing you to keep pushing, without realizing what has been quietly pulling at you from behind. You may feel resistance right now. You may want to move through this quickly and return to what you were doing. I understand that instinct entirely. But stay with me a moment longer. Let yourself breathe. Let your shoulders release some of what they have been holding. Let your heart slow down enough to actually hear me. Support mention. Please consider supporting this channel. If these words have been meaningful to you, our purpose is to carry genuine happiness and devotion to God into your daily life. If you would like to support us, you can do so through the Super Thanks option below. I am not here to pile more information onto an already full mind. I am here to restore your awareness. Awareness brings genuine choice. And choice brings real freedom. When you can see clearly, you can move wisely. When you are unaware, even good intentions can lead you deeper into exhaustion. I know how much you value being responsible and dependable and present for everyone who needs you. Those qualities are genuine and they matter. But when they begin to entirely replace rest and inner connection and listening, they become something heavy rather than something meaningful. I am interrupting you now, so you do not lose yourself in the process of trying to hold everything else together. This moment is not about fixing anything immediately. It is about seeing. It is about recognizing what has been happening beneath the surface of your busy life. It is about allowing me to stand with you in the middle of your day, instead of only being someone you reach for at the edges. I am close to you right now. Not demanding. And not disappointed. And not at any distance from you. Speaking gently. But with an urgency that does not need to be harsh. Because urgency can be loving. Urgency can be careful. Urgency can be the clearest possible sign that you matter deeply to someone who is paying attention. I want you to feel safe enough to stop the multitasking for a moment. Safe enough to honestly acknowledge you are tired. Safe enough to listen without feeling the need to defend yourself or explain anything. I am not asking you to set down your responsibilities. I am asking you to let me help you carry them. You have been strong for a very long time. And you have adapted and pushed through more than most people know about. But strength without rest eventually becomes something closer to strain. I am interrupting you before strain becomes something harder to heal. Please do not experience this as one more thing competing for your attention. See it as the one thing offering you genuine relief. I am not competing with your life. I am part of it. I want to walk through it with you. Not wait in the background for you to reach the point of collapse before I step in. Stay here with me. Let this interruption become a moment of genuine encounter. Let it remind you that you are not navigating your busy life alone. You are seen and cared for and protected. I interrupted you because you matter to me more than your schedule does. I interrupted you because your soul is worth guarding carefully. And I will keep speaking gently and clearly and with love. For as long as you are willing to stay and receive what I came to give you. My child, I want to speak clearly about what the enemy hopes you will do in this moment. Not to produce fear in you, And not to make you suspicious of everything around you, but to help you see what is happening. So you are no longer navigating it without awareness. Awareness is not fear. Awareness is light. And light removes the power from what has been operating in the shadows. The enemy is not hoping to attack you loudly in this moment. They are not planning chaos or dramatic visible disruption. That is not their strategy here. Their approach is much quieter and much simpler. They hope you delay. They hope you dismiss this moment as something less significant than it actually is. They hope you tell yourself you will return to this later, and move on without noticing what just tried to reach you. Delay is one of their most effective tools. Precisely because it does not feel dangerous. It feels reasonable. It sounds measured and calm. It whispers that you can come back to this when you are less tired, and less scattered, and more available. Delay never announces itself as harm. That is what makes it so effective. It quietly moves truth just out of reach, without ever appearing to oppose it directly. The enemy does not need you to reject me. They only need you to stay distracted long enough that you never fully settle into listening. They do not need you to fall apart. They only need you to keep moving on autopilot, without ever pausing to ask deeper questions. They do not need to remove your faith. They only need to gradually dull your awareness, until the signals you are receiving stop registering as clearly as they should. A scattered and distracted heart is easier to redirect than a broken one. Scrolling past may feel like nothing in the moment. Just a small movement. Just a minor choice. But spiritually, scrolling past is often avoidance wearing the clothing of ordinary behavior. It is moving away from something that carries real weight, before it has been given the chance to speak fully. Not because you are in rebellion, but because depth feels uncomfortable when you are already running low. The enemy understands how full your days are. They see how occupied your mind is. They know you are tired and they use that. That is why they do not push hard. They pull gently. They add noise until this moment feels optional, alongside everything else competing for you. They do not need to prevent me from speaking. They only need to prevent you from listening long enough for what I am saying to actually land. Their deepest fear is not your strength. Strength can be misdirected and worn down over time. What they genuinely fear is your awareness. Awareness shifts your direction. Awareness causes you to stop agreeing with things that have been gradually depleting you without your consent. Awareness brings the patterns you have been living inside into the light, where you can actually see them and choose differently. This is why I am speaking now. Because something in you is beginning to wake up and become aware. You have already felt it. That sense that something is slightly off. That quiet pressure that has not gone away no matter how busy you stay. That feeling of being fully occupied but not genuinely at peace. Those are not random emotional states. Those are signals. And the enemy is hoping you dismiss them long enough that they fade back beneath the surface. I want you to understand this clearly and without fear. The enemy does not have authority over you. They cannot force you or control you. That is precisely why they depend on distraction and agreement. When you remain unaware, you unknowingly agree to carry burdens that were never yours to carry. When you become aware, those agreements dissolve. What they are actually afraid of is you becoming still and genuinely honest with yourself. Stillness reveals truth. And honesty exposes lies that you have been living under without realizing it. That is why this moment carries significance. Because stillness and honesty are both very close right now. Delay keeps you from connecting the things that have needed connecting. Delay keeps you from understanding why you have been so consistently tired. Why joy has felt thinner than it used to. Why peace feels less accessible. Delay keeps you blaming yourself for things that are actually being done around you rather than by you. Awareness shifts that blame into understanding. And understanding leads to genuine freedom. The enemy hopes you tell yourself this message is making too much of something ordinary. They hope you minimize it into something you can set aside without being changed by it. Minimizing truth is simply another form of delay. It allows you to stay comfortable without actually being moved by what you just received. I am not telling you any of this so you become anxious or suspicious of every thought and every distraction in your life. That is not my desire. And it would not serve you well. I am telling you so you can see clearly. Clear sight does not produce anxiety. It produces steadiness. When you know what is happening, you stop reacting blindly and start responding wisely. You may wonder why distraction has felt so unusually strong recently. Why quiet moments feel so uncomfortable. Why you instinctively reach for noise the moment silence appears. That is not because you are weak. It is because something does not want you sitting still long enough to hear what your heart has been trying to say to you. The enemy hopes you stay busy enough that you never ask the deeper questions. Busy enough that you never pause long enough to notice the patterns you have been living inside. Busy enough that you keep functioning on the surface without ever addressing what is happening beneath it. That is why they prefer distraction over destruction. Distraction keeps you alive, but at a distance from the depth you were made for. I want you alert rather than alarmed. Alertness is calm and steady, and simply notices what is present. Panic clouds the ability to see clearly. Awareness sharpens it. I am not asking you to fight anything right now. I am asking you to see. If you have surrendered your life completely to Him, let that surrender be the place you return to right now. Seeing breaks the cycle. When you see the pull of distraction, you can choose not to follow it. When you recognize the pattern of delay, you can respond differently. When you understand how noise has been filling the spaces where listening is supposed to live, you can choose stillness without fear of what you will find there. The enemy hopes you treat this moment as optional. I am telling you it is protective. Not because danger surrounds you on every side, but because truth is near. When truth draws close, resistance often rises quietly. And that resistance does not mean something bad is happening. It means something important is. You do not need to be more powerful than the enemy. You need to be more aware. Awareness brings you back into alignment with me. Alignment produces a peace that holds. Peace that holds restores clarity. Clarity makes you significantly harder to pull off course. You cannot pour genuine life from a heart that has been quietly drained by distraction. I am helping you identify where the drain has been happening, so it can be closed. Do not give fear more attention than it deserves. Simply refuse to remain unaware. Refuse to move past this moment without receiving what it contains. Refuse to tell yourself this does not apply to you, even while something in you recognizes that it does. That refusal is all that is required right now. Stay with me a little longer. Let this awareness settle without panic. You are not in danger. You are being protected. The enemy hoped you would scroll past. You did not. That matters. Not because you fought, but because you stayed. And staying opens the door for truth to do its work, gently and steadily and completely. My child, I need you to hear this with seriousness but not with fear. Distraction is more genuinely dangerous than you have understood. Not because it is loud or obvious, but because it works in the quiet. It does not announce itself as something harmful. It presents itself as ordinary life. It blends into your days so naturally that you do not notice what it is slowly taking from you over time. That is precisely why I am speaking now, with both clarity and weight. The subtle can be more damaging over time than the sudden. Distraction dulls discernment. Discernment is your capacity to sense what is true, and what is aligned, and what is not meant for you. When discernment is functioning well, you recognize when something is pulling you away from the peace you were made for. You notice when a thought is not coming from me. You feel when a choice is going to cost you more than it returns. But distraction progressively blunts that capacity. It makes everything feel roughly equal in importance. What deserves your deepest attention, and what simply demands your immediate reaction, begin to blend. And you lose the ability to clearly distinguish between them. This does not happen suddenly. That is what makes it genuinely dangerous. It happens in small and barely noticeable shifts. Every quiet moment gets filled with noise. Every transition gets filled with a task. You consume words and images and information and opinions, until your mind feels crowded, but your heart feels empty. Over time you stop checking in with your spirit entirely. Not because you stopped caring, but because you are simply exhausted. Spiritual numbness does not arrive like darkness arriving all at once. It arrives like dullness settling in gradually. You still function, and you still show up, and you still believe in what matters. But you feel less. Joy feels thinner. Conviction feels quieter. Peace feels harder to access. You begin accepting heaviness as normal, and telling yourself this is just what life feels like now. That is numbness arriving, subtly and gently enough that you do not notice it settling. Busy people carry a particular vulnerability to this. Not because they are doing something wrong, but because constant movement leaves very little room for reflection. When you are always in motion, you do not notice when you are drifting. When you are always responding to what is incoming, you stop initiating the kind of deep listening that keeps you oriented. You begin living in reaction instead of in alignment with what I am doing in your life. A slow drift is what genuinely concerns me. Drift rarely announces itself as dangerous, until you look back and suddenly realize how far you have moved from where you began. Noise replaces genuine listening before you are fully aware it has happened. You still hear many voices and sounds and opinions, but you stop hearing mine clearly. Not because I stopped speaking, but because the space needed for my voice to settle has been filled with everything else. I see how often you reach for something to fill the silence, without even consciously deciding to do it. A screen, a task, a conversation, something to occupy the space. Silence feels genuinely uncomfortable now. Not because it is empty, but because it exposes what you have been unconsciously avoiding. In silence you encounter your fatigue, and your unresolved questions, and your longing for something you cannot quite name. Distraction keeps all of that at a managed distance. But distance does not bring healing. I am not condemning you for any of this. I understand the pressure under which you are living. I understand how this world rewards speed, and constant output, and immediate availability. I understand how rest can feel unproductive, and genuine stillness can feel unsafe, when everything around you keeps moving. But I need you to see clearly what has been happening, so you can choose something different. Not from guilt, but from wisdom. Distraction makes you susceptible to being led, without your full awareness or consent. When you are not paying attention, you agree to things without realizing you are agreeing. You agree to carry stress that was never yours to carry. You agree to voices that are not speaking life over you. You agree to rhythms that are slowly draining what you were meant to steward carefully. Awareness dissolves those agreements. That is precisely why distraction is so consistently effective. It keeps you from noticing what you are consenting to. I have watched you push through days when your heart was genuinely reaching for rest. I have watched you dismiss small internal warnings, because stopping felt like something you simply could not afford. I have watched you normalize exhaustion and call it faithfulness. That breaks something in me. Not because you are weak, but because you are precious. And you were not created to live in a state of constant overwhelm. You were created to live in genuine connection, with me and with yourself. The danger of distraction is not that it pulls you away from everything all at once. It is that it slowly and quietly replaces depth with surface. Reflection becomes a luxury. Listening becomes increasingly rare. Decisions become reactive rather than wise. You still love me, but you no longer linger with me. Relationship becomes something you fit into the margins of your life, rather than something you live from the center of. That shift changes everything in ways you gradually stop noticing. You may wonder why it has felt harder recently to sense my guidance clearly. Why choices seem more confusing. Why your peace feels more fragile than it should. This is not because I have moved away from you. It is because your attention has been scattered across too many surfaces. And scattered attention makes everything feel unclear. Focus and stillness restore clarity. Discernment needs quiet the way your body needs rest in order to heal. When stillness disappears from your life, discernment gradually weakens. You begin relying on habit, and on what feels urgent, rather than on what is actually wise. You stop asking whether something is from me, and start only asking what needs to happen next. That shift seems small, but it changes how you move through your entire life. You become driven by demand rather than guided by truth. I am speaking with genuine seriousness right now, because I do not want you to lose your sensitivity. Sensitivity is not a weakness. It is a gift. It allows you to sense when something is off before it becomes obvious. It allows you to feel my leading gently, rather than only recognizing it after the fact. Distraction hardens sensitivity without your awareness, and numbs what was once alive in you. You have felt this numbness beginning to settle. That is part of why this message caught your attention. Something in you recognized that you needed to stop. That is not coincidence. That is your spirit responding to truth, before the numbness could go any deeper. I am not asking you to remove all noise from your life. I am asking you to stop allowing noise to replace genuine listening. I am asking you to create space again. Even small spaces. Where you are not consuming or reacting or performing. Where you can simply be present with me. This is not about doing more. Or adding another practice to your schedule. It is about noticing more. Noticing when your heart feels heavy without a clear reason. Noticing when your peace feels thin. Noticing when you are moving too fast to actually feel anything. These are not signs of failure. They are invitations to return. I want you to feel the seriousness of what I am saying, without experiencing fear from it. Fear paralyzes, and awareness strengthens. I am not warning you because something terrible is imminent. I am warning you because something subtle has been happening for a while. And now is exactly the right time to address it. You are not lost. You are drifting. And a drift can be corrected when you become aware of it. All it takes is attention. And a genuine willingness to pause and listen again. Stay with me here. Let this truth settle in at whatever depth it needs to reach. You do not need to fix everything today. And you do not need to change your entire life before tomorrow morning. You only need to see clearly what distraction has been doing. So you can choose presence again. I am with you in all of this. I am not watching from a distance waiting to see what you do. I am close and steady and patient. Speaking because I love you too much. To allow numbness to settle in quietly. While your attention is elsewhere. Listen now. Not with fear, but with honesty. Your discernment can be sharpened again. And your sensitivity can be restored. And your peace can genuinely deepen. But it begins here. By seeing distraction clearly for what it is. And choosing to remain present with me instead. My child. I want to lift something heavy from your heart right now. And I need you to actually receive this. You are not too busy. You are not failing because your schedule is full. You are not disappointing me because your days feel crowded and overwhelming. Let that shame go right now. Because it does not come from me. And it is not telling you the truth. What you are experiencing is not a lack of devotion. It is something else entirely. You are being pulled quietly and persistently. In a direction you did not consciously choose. And that pull has made everything feel heavier than it actually needs to be. I see how often you turn the accusation inward. You tell yourself that if you cared more, you would slow down more. If you were more spiritually mature, you would focus better. If you were more disciplined, you would feel closer to me. But the voice making those accusations is not speaking truth. It is ignoring what has actually been happening around you. Busyness itself is not your problem. The problem is the unseen pull on your attention. That has been working beneath the visible surface of your life. There is a meaningful difference between genuine responsibility and distraction. And I want you to understand that difference clearly. Responsibility comes from love and purpose. And it has weight. But it also carries meaning. Distraction steals both the weight and the meaning at the same time. Responsibility may tire you, but it does not hollow you out. Distraction leaves you exhausted in ways that ordinary rest does not repair. You have been confusing the two. And that confusion has made you feel guilty for things you should actually be aware of rather than ashamed of. You have responsibilities I placed in your life. People you care for. and work you must do, and choices that genuinely belong to you. I am not asking you to abandon those things. And I am not criticizing your faithfulness in showing up for them. I see your dedication. And I see how much of yourself you give to what matters. But alongside all of that responsibility, there has been a quiet pull that does not originate with me. A pull that fragments your attention before you can settle it anywhere meaningful. A pull that fills every available space with noise, before silence can do its work in you. A pull that keeps you from actually resting, even when your body finally stops moving. That pull is why you feel tired even after sleep. That pull is why your mind feels crowded even in quiet rooms. That pull is why prayer feels harder to enter, and stillness feels less accessible. This is not because you are spiritually weak. It is because something has been consistently competing for your attention. An unrelenting competition always produces a specific kind of strain. If God has turned your sorrow into something that makes you sing again, let that transformation be your declaration right now. And carry this message further than yourself, to someone who needs to know that the interruption they are feeling is not an intrusion. It is protection, and the voice speaking into their busy life is the voice of someone who loves them too much to stay quiet.